My Voice provides those with lived experience in homelessness, addiction, mental and behavioral health struggles, and domestic violence with a platform to tell their story in their words. Every episode is conducted anonymously in order to facilitate a candid and comfortable place for guests to tell their story. My Voice is hosted by Bryan Fields, who works as a case manager here at the My House Youth Drop-In Center in Wasilla, Alaska. We now join a My Voice conversation, already in progress.
Cool, man. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. If you were on a deserted island and you could only bring three things, what three things are you bringing?
Well, definitely a knife.
Okay.
And a way to start some fire. So like the Flintstone or whatever.
Yeah.
And like 100 feet of paracord.
Okay.
You got shelter, way to kill something.
Yeah.
And some heat. Yeah, I mean, you're good.
You're good. You are good. Yeah.
Like,
yeah. We had this conversation at dinner last night, and it was crazy the way it went because we started having the conversation. The next thing you know, we're talking about cannibalism and all kinds of crazy stuff. It was interesting.
I mean, that's a fair point to bring up when you're stuck on an island.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
anyways, all right, man. Where are you from?
From Wasilla.
Okay.
Lived in Alaska almost my whole life. Bounced between here and Colorado growing up. Been in the Valley the whole time I've lived in Alaska. I've never lived anywhere else. Colorado, I like to call home just because that's where a lot of my family is from. But I have two homes. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
Alaska and Colorado. But
is that because like two separate parents or what's that about?
No, my parents split up when I was a kid.
Okay.
And so when my parents were still together, we lived in Colorado for a little while. My parents split. My mom took us back to Alaska.
Okay.
And then was here up until I started high school and thought grass was greener on the other side, like I always like to do.
Yeah.
The way I want it to be. You know what I mean? It's better over there. It's go that way, but it's not. You know what I mean?
Right.
So moved down to Colorado, lived down there for after I ran away from my dad's house, I probably lived down there for about a month. Was working full time when I ran away, so I thought I had to figure it out. I got a job. I get a paycheck every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Still trying to make school work, but it's kind of hard to juggle school when you're working full time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Lost my place to live down there because the lady I was living with got a divorce and lost her place, and it was just a shit show, so I moved out.
Yeah.
Bounced around for a little bit and came home for Christmas break and never went back to Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Been stuck here since.
Oh, he said stuck here.
Yeah, been stuck here since.
Okay. What was your like household like growing up as far as was dad very strict? Was mom kind of loose with you? What did that look like?
Pretty normal childhood. You know what I mean? Like, we always had what we needed. You know what I mean? My mom, of course, was strict. Like, not overly strict. Like, we had freedoms to do what we wanted. And
yeah.
my parents were good to me. I mean, I had a good home. Even my dad, when I moved down there, was great to me. Like, me and my stepmom had issues, not any of her fault, but I had resentments to her, so I butted heads with her just, like, intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt she took my dad. You know what I mean? When they split.
Yeah.
When I was younger, my dad struggled with addiction. I didn't know that until I had already been down the road of addiction myself.
Oh, wow.
You know, I mean, my mom told me on my way to treatment one day that's why they split up, was my dad was doing meth. I didn't know. You know, I remember my dad did a good job at keeping it separate from home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I never knew he was out getting high or whatever, but he was a repo agent, so he was always at work.
Yeah.
He was always just running around stealing cars for a living, legally. You know what I mean? Like, so I didn't think anything of it.
It's
like,
a meth head's dream.
This dude works 18 hours a day, and we
Yeah.
have this crazy cool life. Like, we got a boat and a camper and
Right.
this whole crazy cool thing. And my dad's always driving nice, cool cars. And
Yeah.
come to find out, when I got older, started doing the dumb myself,
Right.
not legally. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
mom's like, "Look, you're an idiot. Like,
Yeah.
this is why me and your dad split up." It kind of dawned on me. I was like, "Oh, that makes a little more sense." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
never got what you meant when my dad was off drinking driveway cleaner. Didn't feel like being a dad. You know what I mean? Like, I never got what that meant until now.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
But like I said, dude, I have a good upbringing. You know what I mean? Like, my dad instilled a lot of good qualities in me.
Yeah.
Even though he's struggled with his own issues. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
That's tough. So that's interesting because I talk about that all the time, and I try to tell people all the time when I'm talking about addiction about how it doesn't discriminate, right? Sometimes you hear the same story through different people's mouths, and you think that that's just it's like a stereotype, right? Like that is what an addict looks like.
Yeah.
You know, as far as, you know, my upbringing was like this and I had all this trauma. And sometimes that's not the case. And people need to realize that addiction doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care who you are. You know, if you get caught into that cycle, it'll do everything it can to bring you down.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and so
And like and back on the whole like trauma thing, like it wasn't even the trauma. Like
yeah,
I smoked pot when I was a kid. I mean, like 15 years old, I think I started smoking pot every once in a while. Was drinking in high school, but it wasn't like an everyday wrapped up in addiction. That's really how it starts. It snowballs, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
I didn't really start doing meth until I was 18 or 19. Wasn't trying to cover nothing up. It was just fun.
yeah.
I mean, it was fun for a long time.
Yeah.
Until it wasn't.
It wasn't.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Sitting in prison for 5 years. I was like, oh, yeah, this is not fun anymore. You know what I mean? Like, or, this is definitely not what I want to do. You know what I mean? Like, of course, there were times where it sucked.
Yeah.
And I think that was the hardest part for me to get out of that mindset is, dude, this is fun. I like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it took hitting that point where, like, I've just had enough.
Right.
Like I said, it was fun until it wasn't. You know what I mean? And then,
yeah.
Sitting in prison this last bid, like I just got out last March, like so I've finally been out of prison a year.
Yeah.
Got to set free as recovery residence. Watching my little girl go up and put photos. You know what I mean? That was one of the hardest things, and not being there for it, and like watching all this life go on, and like starting to realize what's important. Like it took me 30 years to figure out what was important.
Yeah. So how did that progress for you? What was the driving force in that? What did that look like? You said you were trying to go to school with, and you were homeless, I think is what you had said.
Yeah, down
at 17.
Down in Colorado, and then so.
Is that like kind of what once you became homeless, it kind of started?
No, so I didn't start using meth until I'd come back to Alaska.
Okay.
So me being homeless down there was what sparked me moving back to Alaska.
Okay.
I had already had a trip planned to come see my mom for Christmas vacation, and then literally sitting down at Christmas Eve dinner, I was like, my uncle asked me, he's like, "Hey, when are you going home?" I was like, "I'm not." My mom and my stepdad had no idea that was the plan. You know,
yeah.
Like they both looked at each other like, "You're not going home?" I was like, "No, can I move back here?" So like, yeah, but you're gonna finish school, and that's gonna be what happens. So they enrolled me in Burchell High School. A big turning point was meeting this buddy of mine at the time, and that was who I really started getting into drugs with. Started off with bath salt, kind of just hanging out doing bath salt and pills, but it seemed normal to me at the time. You know,
yeah.
Like the dude's literally going to the store to get it, paid for it at a legal location. You know what I mean? Like, and then it kind of started turning off into, let's go get some meth. You know what I mean? A lot of it was a buddy of mine's mom hit me up one day, and I was at a party doing some blow, and she calls and leaves me a voicemail, and she's like, "Zach, we need to talk. I know what you've been into, and we just need to have a talk." I'm like, like my second mom knows what's up. You know, this is not good.
Yeah.
Call her up, and I was like, "Hey, what's up?" Lo and behold, this woman asked me for cocaine. I was like,
"Oh, wow."
I was like, "Oh, this is not how this conversation was going to go." I thought at all. You know what I mean? And then so like it kind of just snowballed from there. Started moving coke for her husband. Or whatever.
She ended up becoming your distributor?
No, I was getting for her.
Oh, okay.
Started supplying her. You know what I mean? And then her husband called me up like 2 weeks later and asked if I could find meth.
Oh,
Lo and behold, I had already kind of trickled into that scene. You know what I mean? Just being around, like it's crazy how fast.
Is school out the window at this point?
Oh yeah, done, dropped out, left, moved out of my mom's.
Mm-hmm.
Living with.
You got it all figured out.
Yeah, I'm cool. I'm figuring it out. You know what I mean? Got a place to live. We're all hanging out. Like there's this group of friends I was living with, and it just was like a constant party. You know what I mean? That summer I was living at Lake Lucille Campground, and that was kind of where my network expanded, so to say, or whatever. You know what I mean? And I was living out of a tent for 30 days, and it was literally just a 30-day party. Like if we woke up and we're not inebriated some type of way, we immediately got that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
More often than not, did we already wake up screwed? You know what I mean? Like, now I can see like, oh, like you just now getting my life put back together. You know what I mean? Like, but at the time, it didn't feel like that big of an issue. Like, just out having fun, hanging out with friends, like, doing some drugs. Like,
that's
I mean,
that's
like,
my favorite analogy. It's hard to see the forest through the trees, and when we're in our addiction, you don't realize. That was the other thing. Like, I never realized. I didn't realize like not only the pain that I was causing myself, but the pain that I was causing the people around me.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was, and I look back on it now, like that's a f***ed up way to live.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like it was a super foul. Way to live.
It's hard to live that way. With humans are designed for connection, and it's hard to live that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just in general, but it's sometimes we trick ourselves into thinking that it's easier to live that way because it's sometimes connection is scary, you know?
Yeah.
And especially if people that you've been close to hurt you or let you down, you're like, how is this person that I don't know nothing about ever going to be able to be there for me the way that I need to, or how am I going to be there for them the way that they need me to? And so it's easier to just be like, all right, you go over there, you do this thing. We have a transactional relationship, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
And that's it, right? So, okay, so you're homeless, the things are progressing, sounds like you're starting to dabble, selling substances, living out of a homeless camp.
Yeah.
What happened from there?
Been in and out of jail, got arrested later that year. I got a minor consuming alcohol minor operating while consuming alcohol.
Okay.
Wasn't a DUI because I wasn't drunk by DUI standards or whatever, but I was still a minor.
Gotcha.
Blew like a .04.
And this was your first arrest?
Yeah, that was my first introduction into the criminal justice system. Of course, I'm partying, never went to court, ended up getting arrested for failure to appear a couple times. And by this point, I'm starting to carry drugs. You know, I have a dirty dope bag in my pocket. It's in my wallet. I gotta even remember it's there. Like, we literally spent all night at the trap house waiting for dope to show up that never did. We get pulled over. My buddy's driving like an idiot. Not even just being stupid. You know what I mean? So we get pulled over, and the cop recognizes me, takes me to jail. He's actually looking back on it now, he's actually a super good dude. Like 4 or 5 hours later, he comes back. He's like, Zach, now you really need to level with me, dude. What's with the meth they found in your wallet?
Oh, no.
I'm like, what the are you talking about? There's no meth in my wallet. Like, you're tripping. It's like, you want to tell me what you were doing at the Kashim? I was like, so I'm like thinking this dude's just trying to press me about something. Like, dude, I'm not. Woke up the next morning with a felony.
Oh, my God.
You know what I mean? Come to find out, they found a dirty bag with no measurable weight. And I'm 18. I don't know any better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Found a dirty bag, and there was literally enough substance in the bag for them to test it, and that was it. I literally got charged with a felony for less than 1/10 of a gram.
Just because you brought it into the jail?
No, just as a possession charge. They didn't hit me with introduction or anything, but it was a mix 4, and at the time was a felony. Got out the next morning, it was like $500 or whatever. Went on the run, never turned myself in, never did shit, never checked in, never, you know what I mean? So I get picked up, let go after another bail review or whatever.
Yeah.
And then get picked up again later on. And since that had happened, I just kind of progressed in the drug game and started moving more drugs. And
Are you reaching out to any organizations at that time? Like,
I hadn't yet.
Yeah.
This is before I had met Michelle Overstreet.
Okay.
The My House organization. We're driving up. We get pulled over, and I know I have warrants out for my arrest, so I don't tell the cop my name. Like, I'm not driving. There's no reason for this. Know my name. You know what I mean? This is the first time I ever get told on. And I know I get told on in this situation because he comes up to the car. He says the car smells like weed. We've been smoking weed. We've been on a runner for like 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, there's no weed anywhere near this vehicle. Yeah. And he asked for all of our IDs, and I'm like, no, I'm not giving it to you. Like, I don't have any reason. He's like, well, I could impound the vehicle, detain you till we figure out who you are and everyone in the vehicle. My buddy's like, dude, just give me your name. I'll come bail you out of jail. Like, give me your name. It'll be the end of it. You're going to come bail me out? He's like, yeah, I got you. So I tell the cop who I am. Dude arrests me, cuffs me up front, lets me figure out bail money and shit. The plug is in the back seat. Dude's got like a ball of dope and a pipe in the center console. The driver, my buddy in quotes, you know what I mean? Yeah. Quote unquote buddy, gets to drive away. The dude in the back seat, the plug, gets arrested because the cop pulls him out at gunpoint, searches all shit, finds a bunch of drugs. There's another cop here at this point, you know what I mean? I get arrested, get to master pretrial, and they charge me with another felony.
Whoa.
I don't even have anything on my person. You know what I mean? They charged me for the dirty pipe that probably had like 1.5 grams in it.
Yeah.
In the center console of this dude's truck. How they didn't find the 8 ball of dope in the same center console, I'll never know. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he comes and bails me out on both charges.
The dude that told on you?
Told on me. You know what I mean?
Bailed you out.
Bails me out. This all happened like a 2-year span.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
2 felonies in 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the run again. Like, he bails me out. I blow. Like, I'm out. Like, this dude's obviously crazy. Not a solid dude.
Right.
Burn off on him. Don't ever see this dude again. Never. Not once. Ended up staying with a friend of mine. That worked out for a couple months. Then I'm over here at the Kashim. I'm homeless again, living under a tree. And a buddy of mine tells me about this place. On the run for those 2 felonies. You know what I mean? Like, got warrants out. Dude tells me to come here. He's like, dude, they got shower. Something to eat. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go check it out. Come in. And Michelle's actually the one who greets me. They hadn't even finished opening the doors yet. Like, they're still building the cafe.
Wow.
Putting it together and go in. I'm like, look, I really don't want to be here right now. I'm on the run. And I'm not trying to get you or me hemmed up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but I need a shower and something to eat. Michelle's like, takes me in like her own kid. You know what I mean? Like, here, come here, let's get you something to eat, get you a shower, get you cleaned up, and we'll get your warrants quashed. Literally, I left that day with a court hearing to quash my warrants.
Wow.
Yeah, like Michelle went to bat and got my warrants quashed, and that was when I went to court and started following up on it and kind of starting to get my life somewhat back on track. You know what I mean? And
are you still engaging with My House that whole time?
yeah, still coming in. I was working worked in a cafe back when Card Eats was here. I was working for Card Eats.
Okay.
So I'm starting to get it figured out, starting to turn my around. Michelle had actually put me through school twice. This place, My House and 9-Star, put me through NIT twice.
What'd you go for?
Went and did their carpentry program, and then went and did their service oiler program.
Okay.
Which was super cool, working on big rigs. A lot of that I used at my last job, working for a trucking company out here. Still wasn't, like, over the fun factor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, got it together, and then would get bored and get a case of hits, and I'm on probation at this time, you know what I mean? So when I went to court, they gave me an SIS deal. They're like, look, looking back on it now, they didn't really have anything on either of them. Like, had I just fought it and not took the first deal they threw at me, I probably wouldn't have a felony. You know? Probably wouldn't have gotten down this path that I did. Mm-hmm. But that's, hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah, and you're young.
So, yeah, I don't know any better. I'm like, oh, you're gonna make one felony go away if I plead out to this one? Sold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So I pled out to the dirty bag. They threw out the dope pipe in dude's truck. You know what I mean? Because obviously they couldn't get me for shit if it's in dude's truck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they throw that one out. I plead to the first one. They gave me a 3-year SIS. So I'm on probation, working with the My House organization, working for Card Eats, and working in the cafe, kind of getting it figured out, and violate a couple times, like get dirty away, get high, go back to jail, get out after 60 days. And I did this for a while, and then the last PTRP I had, I got out, came back in here, was living in the My House housing. December that year, I fell off again, ended up going to jail, finish off my probation case, so I'm done, right?
Yeah.
Finish off my first felony. Actually, I got out on parole because they gave me, but I had served most of it, but I still qualified parole. So they gave me parole, got out parole to a treatment center, missed my daughter's birth by like 2 weeks. I got granted parole the day she was born, and it just took them 2 weeks to get the paperwork processed and get me out. And meanwhile, like, through that whole probation experience, Michelle and My House were always there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I had my head screwed on straight, they were there to help me.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what's so cool about this place is we don't, like, people think that they have to come in here and, like, be fixed already. Or
yeah, that's the farthest thing from the truth.
We
you know
don't.
what I mean? Like,
we just want you to get in the door, and we can figure out all the rest. And we're always gonna be here, no matter what that looks like.
As long as you're willing to put in the work too, they will always. And I'm the prime example of that. You know what I mean? So, like, after Michelle and My House has done all these things for me, and given me every golden opportunity to move forward and better my life, I wasn't ready to do so yet. But that opportunity was there. You know what I mean? As long as I was, like, working towards it, and it wasn't just. If you're willing to put in the work, there's 1,000 people lined up to help you. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Starting to get it together, but I'm not ready to, like, it's still fun. You know what I mean? So.
Doesn't hurt bad enough yet.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't found that bottom yet. You know what I mean? Like, I ended up relapsing, started drinking again, and ended up going back to jail. That's when I flat timed my paper, and they gave me parole as long as it's to a treatment center. So I get to Salvation Army in Anchorage, and I'm there till my parole's up, and I'm done. You know what I mean? So I'm off paper. I'm finally finished with the justice system. Like, I'm finished. You know what I mean? I'm free and clear.
How old are you at that point?
21.
Okay.
22. 22, 23. I'm in my early 20s.
Early
Let's
20s.
go with my early 20s. Yeah, let's
I
go
got
with my
you.
early 20s. So we're around there, living in Anchorage. Came out for Christmas break to see my mom because the girlfriend I was staying with at the time went to Colorado to see her family. Assault 3, vehicle theft, drug charges. I'm like,
You're hit.
yeah, I'm super. You know, I'm like, oh, dude. It's just that moment where you're like, oh, damn. Like, this is fucking real. You know what I mean? It's definitely not fun right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Fun train has officially left.
yeah, it's over. You know what I mean? The fun train is gone. You know what I mean? Like,
see you later. Yeah.
So I call my mom up. The only thing she has to say, I was like, Mom, I'm in jail looking at attempted murder charges. She's like, oh, you should probably quit using drugs, huh? Hangs up the phone. I was like,
So I'm guessing mom has had enough at this point.
Oh yeah, mom has so had enough. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because like when I'm in addiction, I don't come around, I don't call her, I don't
Yeah.
check in with her. You know what I mean? Like,
I had a similar situation where I got hemmed up and I called my brother, I called my sister. I was supposed to be somewhere and I got arrested. Yeah, they were like, "We're not bailing you out.
yeah,
It's not happening."
yeah,
It was $1,000 bail and they would not.
yeah.
not
Oh, I
bail
need,
me out.
my bail was like 100,000 cash on one,
Mm,
and like 50,000 cash corporate on the other.
yeah.
Not getting
Yeah,
out of jail.
yeah,
You
no,
know what
you
I
weren't
mean?
going
Like,
anywhere.
Not going.
But I
anywhere.
know that feeling when it's like, when it's
Yeah.
already like stacked against you and then you try to use that lifeline again because you've used it so many times.
Yeah, and
And
it's
it's-
just
They're
not
like,
there.
They're like, "No."
Yeah, you should quit using drugs, huh?
Yeah.
Hung up. I was like, I didn't talk to my mom for like 2 years after I fell. So
Oh,
like
wow.
on this case, I ended up pleading out because they really didn't have shit on my shooting. Miles down the road of this dude asking why I would do that, and I'm like, dude, I don't know shit. Like, what the are you talking about?
Yeah.
So, and they had tried getting me on some other charges, and so I'm been in for maybe 8 months, and I finally asked my attorney. I was like, dude, just get a global offer, like. Ask for a deal and see what they give us. You know what I mean? I want to be done. Like, I've had enough. I want to be done. Just get it wrapped up and I'll do time. Like, in here, I'm a career criminal, made some choices.
You've already been there for 2 years at that point?
No, I'd been in for 8 months.
8 months, okay.
8 months. Been in for 8 months. And I'm like, dude, let's just get a deal, see what they offer. If it's something worth it, I'll take it. You know what I mean? Just gonna do some time and get it over with.
Yeah.
And so they come back. They're like, look, we'll drop everything but the misconduct of all weapons in the first, the vehicle theft, and your misdemeanor drug charges.
It's not a bad deal.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Considering,
Like,
yeah.
considering what the fucking stack of them is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, well, let's counter. Like, you know, let's see.
Oh, no, we got greedy.
I was like, let's counter. You know,
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's just try one counter. If it works, it doesn't. If not, I'll take this deal. You know what I mean? Because they offered me 12 with 4 suspended for the shooting, which is a Class A, and then a year flat for the stolen truck, and then just some fines and shit for the drug charges because they're misdemeanor drug charges. I was like, all right, f it. So they gave me, all in total, it was 9, so I had to do 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then got sentenced and went down to Seward. And still didn't have my head screwed on straight for like the first 2.5 years I was in jail. Got clicked up,
Yeah.
doing drugs in jail, fighting, just living the criminal life. You know what I mean? At this point,
just
like,
in bars, yeah.
well, yeah, like at this point, this is what I'm doing. Like, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm gonna be. This is who I am. Like,
Yeah.
I was just in that total mindset of I'm a career criminal. Like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm gonna be, and I'm gonna do it to the fullest. Like,
Mhm.
and it finally clicked in. Like, about 2.5, 3 years in, I was like, that's not it. You know what I mean? Like, some of my brothers were like, look, we don't gotta live like this shit anymore. Like, dudes I had done serious time with were like, look, we're over it. Like, we're ready to do something different. Like, we want you to do something different too. So like, I was kind of started working while I was in jail and started keeping my nose clean and got out a year early.
Wow.
You know, and got out on furlough. I got furlough approved on completion of substance abuse treatment, inpatient treatment. So they sent me to Kenai, where I started to do their RSAT or whatever. Well, that program got shut down because the lady running it, not necessarily on the right side of the law or whatever, they pulled her out in cuffs,
Yeah.
shut the whole program down.
Right.
So we're all sitting down there waiting to go home once we complete this program, but there's no program to complete. Like, they just shut it down and took it away.
Oh, wow.
So the POs down there started doing some work, and if there's like 6 or 7 of us that had pre-approved furloughs, they're like, look, we're going to approve your furlough now to treatment. So once you complete treatment, you can continue your furlough. So I went to Salvation Army in Anchorage, did their 3-month program, and then got out on ankle monitor. And that was just last March when I got out on ankle monitor
Okay.
to set free and just hit the ground running.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, hit that point while I was in jail and just had enough. I was
What
ready to
was
do
that?
something different.
Like, what was the thing that, like, where it clicked? Was it the influence, or was there something inside of you, or what was it that just made you say?
A mixture of everything going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, communicating with people on the streets, like, mother of my kid's not doing good. She's struggling. You know what I mean? I'm in here being a fucking moron. Like, and just had enough. You know what I mean? Like, dude, sitting around playing poker, working out, fighting is not really the life I want to live. You know what I mean? Like, cool, I like poker, but not that much.
Not that much.
You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
I can't play spades no more.
yeah, like I've had enough of cards. You know what I mean? And I definitely don't like top ramen anymore. You know what I mean? I've had enough of soups.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just, and watching my little girl grow up in photos. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
flipping
tough.
through photo albums and watching my little 7-year-old grow up that way. It was
Yeah.
not cool. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and I'm putting her through the same thing my dad did. You know what I mean? Like, he took off when we were kids, like, and doing the same thing to my daughter. You know what I mean? Like, I'm literally repeating the cycle,
Yeah.
and I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, luckily, my wife and her family have taken tremendous care of my daughter, and she hasn't had to experience anything like that. Like, this little girl has an amazing life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and luckily, I'm still part of that. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
have our kids back, and our daughters come home, and you know, it's super cool, and I'm glad I'm at the point we are now. But it's been a hard road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
It's hard to get through that too. You know, I remember being strung out and raising my kid, trying to raise my kid. Wasn't raising my kid.
yeah,
And even though I was there, it felt like I wasn't there.
yeah,
And it got to a point where he was referring to me as other men, other men names. And because I was gone so much,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And so I was watching these people raise my child, and it's just like you said, watching me do the same thing that my parents had done and realizing I'm just continuing a cycle. And
Yeah.
the life after I lived that life, you don't want your kid to live that life.
yeah. No, absolutely not. It terrifies me these days, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like it's not a f***ing joke anymore.
Right. But that's why like things like this need to continue to happen, and I want to thank you again for like being willing to share your story, because
Yeah, absolutely.
some people want to recover in silence,
Yeah, it's
and with the things that we're facing and the things that our children are facing, it's not an option.
no, absolutely
You know?
not. And I mean, recovery really doesn't. It might work for some. Like, I know it definitely didn't work for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I went to the meetings before when I was trying to get sober,
Yeah.
and it was only just because I had a PO telling me I needed to go. You know what I mean? And I needed to get sober. It wasn't ever because I wanted to.
Yep.
So I'd go to the meetings, and I'd just sit there and play on my phone and get my little signature and go home. You know what I mean? But this time around, like, it's the act of the community. You know what I mean? Like, the going to the meetings and building friends and bonds and friendships. And, like, dude, I have a ton of friends in recovery today. You know what I mean? Like, and we all hang out. We do fun shit together. Like, Mercules was up here for a concert a while back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, super cool. And a whole group of us from recovery went and had a blast, bro. A bunch of us from recovery went to a bar and had a blast.
Right.
Sober as
Sober.
fuck. Sober as fuck. You know what I mean? We're doing Jaeger bombs without the Jaeger. We go up to the bar. We're like, can we get some Jaeger bombs with hold the Jaeger?
Yeah.
He was like, you just want a fucking Red Bull? Yeah, give us a round of Red Bulls, dude. Super cool. And then a different bartender came up and we like did the whole mocktail thing. You know what I mean? Like, dude, it was just cool to live like that life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, a bunch of us can go out, go to a bar, watch a cool concert that a bunch of us like. You know what I mean? Like, I super got into Mercury's in prison. Like, a lot of his music I super relate to. You know what I mean? A friend of ours got us the tickets, and like I said, 6 or 7 of us went. Dude, it was super cool. We got to meet him. He stayed after the show. Like, I feel bad for one of the ones with us because she paid for the VIP pass and got to meet him and everything. Got me a signed hat, and dude, Mercury's made me a little shout out video. You know what I mean? On our phone. Yeah, this is before we met him.
Yeah.
And super cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Concert goes on. He finishes the concert. He's like, look, I hate charging my fans to like meet me and shit. Like, but we had to pay for it somehow. He's like, so for you that paid to see me, I'm sorry, you know what I mean? But I'm about to come meet all of you.
Yeah.
Dude came off the stage, hung out at the Willowa Center with all of us.
Wow.
Just super kicked it, got to meet us. All of our little recovery group got pictures with Mercules.
Yeah.
His drummer gave me a set of drumsticks that I got Mercules to sign, gave to a buddy of ours that couldn't make it to the concert because he's still an ankle monitor. So it was super cool, bro. Like, just things like that we get to do now.
Yeah.
Because I became a part of that group. You know what I mean? Like,
you bought in.
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And it's paying off. You know what I mean? Like,
and I love what you said too, because you can go to a million meetings, you can go to a million treatment centers, you can until you fully buy into recovery.
yeah, it doesn't work.
It doesn't.
No, like I said, you can shovel the shit down my throat until you're blue in the face.
Yep.
But until I'm ready to listen and apply it, it ain't gonna do jack. You know what I mean? Like, I could read 1,000 treatment books. and recite them to you. But I mean, I know all the information.
Right.
I was never ready to apply it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the information's good, but the real recovery and sobriety comes from meeting people in recovery and
the
building
connection.
that life. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like,
have you ever seen that video? It's like the opposite of addiction.
so I like set free slogan. Like, I hate to steal it from them or whatever, or be cliche or whatever, but it's the fucking truest shit ever. Their whole like, it's connection is the opposite of addiction.
Yeah, that's what the video is based on.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's the truest shit ever. Like,
it's a TED Talk. I don't watch TED Talks.
we watched a couple of them in treatment.
Yeah,
like,
but yeah, he talks about the isolation factor, right? And I really relate to, I hear people talk about, like, I suffer from a disease of isolation, and when I'm alone, I'm left alone with a killer.
Yeah,
and I so relate to that, because when I get into my addiction, I just push everybody away.
Yep.
And I sit there and I drown myself in self-pity and sorrow and attempt to kill myself,
Yeah.
And it's tough.
I was like, it was super cool. But
yeah. So you got out of treatment and you were on ankle monitor. What happened? So take me through what your life looks like today after that.
Shit, I couldn't have imagined what my life, my life today, couldn't imagine it at all.
Yeah. I always say it's a life I never knew I wanted.
Yeah, exactly. Like, even a year ago. I mean, it's a life I wanted.
Yeah.
It's just a life I never thought I could figure out how to get done. You know what I mean? Like I literally live my dream life right now. You know what I mean? Like, not exactly where I want to be, but I know I'm getting there and I know where I'm at. Like, so I got out of treatment in March, went to recovery residence up on the hill, was there for, I think I was only there 2 months.
Okay.
And I had moved into the shop where I was working at because my boss needed me there Sundays, and me being on ankle monitor, I had to have a lockdown day. Dude needed me there 7 days a week, and I just couldn't because I couldn't leave my house. Mm-hmm. I still had to do treatment and stuff. And then, so I talked to my POs and I moved into where I was working. They had a room in their shop where he let me stay, and I was working 7 days a week, just working, going to treatment. After that, I think I was there maybe 3 or 4 months, got a place, which is where we're at now. We have a beautiful house. It's crazy. It's an apartment, but it's a house. It's our home. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like, still sit there and think, like, we did this. You know what I mean? Like,
going from homeless camps to your own spot. Yeah.
Dude, it's nice. I mean, I've had places before, but it was never feel like really a home. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, dude, we have a nice house. Like, we have a wonderful life today. You know what I mean? Like, drive a 2015 Chevy Silverado that a bank financed me for. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Like,
do you know who I am?
Yeah, like, you're gonna lend me $24,000? Are you shitting me right now? You're gonna let me buy this truck and you're gonna pay for it? Dude, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Like, work full time for a good company. You know what I mean? Making $25 an hour or $22 an hour right now, but I mean, it's a good company. That's what I started. Yeah. That's what I started there at. But we got a beautiful home. Both of us have jobs. Yeah. Both of us have nice cars to drive. Yeah. Got our kids home.
And you're active in the recovery community.
Yeah, absolutely. We go to Mountain Movers meeting, which is a super good meeting. Like, I'm about to come pick up one of the kids I met at what do they call that, supper time or whatever?
Supper club.
Supper club. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sitting down at supper club and so asked me if I want something. So I sat down and started talking with some people, and I guess this kid had been kind of struggling, you know what I mean? Like, so I told him, he's like trying to meet some recovery people. So I told him I'd come pick him up on Friday and bring him to our meeting.
That's awesome, like, man.
It's super cool. Like, it's moments like that just like kind of come full circle. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool to have that experience. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and to be the person that I needed in that point, you know what I mean? There's a ton of people in my life that were like, hey, come on, you know what I mean? But I wasn't ready to listen. You know what I mean? Wasn't ready to listen, but there was always someone there to guide me or can show me a different way when I was ready. You know what I mean? A lot of it stuck. Like, I never applied it until now. Yeah. But it was cool to be on the other side. Yeah. And the person to give that advice and to show, hey, look, it does work. You know what I mean? Like, the prime example of it. It can work no matter how far down the path you are. There's still a way out. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
That point, I thought there was absolutely no way out. You know what I mean? Like, but there is. Like, I'm sitting here with you today. Yeah. Got a beautiful house, pay my bills, I feel good walking into the bank to pay my truck payment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, I don't know you very well, but, just hearing your story, and I'm super proud of you, man, and you should definitely be proud of yourself.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And if there was somebody listening to this that was struggling and kind of flirting with the idea of getting into recovery, what would you tell them?
Do it. And even if you're not ready, go meet some of the people. At least pick up some of the information because it'll pay off down the road.
Yeah.
And like, even if you just go to a meeting and sit there and play on your phone and kind of listen, you still might hear something that'll save your life. It's worth it. Like, I've been down the deep roads of addiction where like thought there was no way out.
Yeah.
But there is, like, and it's way better life. You know what I mean? Like, seemed fun, had a blast. Not really. You know what I mean? Like, got a rap sheet the size of Texas.
Yeah.
About $10,000 worth of restitution and fines that come out of my check every month. And you know what I mean? Like, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
Like, it's worth it to be where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of My Voice. For local services here at my house, please call 373-4357. That's 373-HELP.